Hello, good day. In this session, we will be discussing about the chapter 2, communicating over the network. So just to recap, during this session 1 or the topic 1, we were able to discuss what network is. We were able to describe how networks impacts our daily lives, the functions of data networking and human networking, and also we've identified the key components of any data network, the opportunities and challenges by the converged network, and lastly, we were able to describe the characteristics of network architecture. We have 4 items: default tolerance, scalability, quality of service, and app security. So for chapter 2, so at the end of this session, we will be able to describe the structure of a network, including the devices, media that are essentials for successful communication, and explain the function of protocols in network communication, the advantages of using layered model to describe network functionality. So in this session, you will be acquainted with the two models. We have the TCP/IP model and the OSI model, and describe the importance of addressing and naming scheme in network communication. So to start, we have here the platforms of communication. So there are two approaches that our network communicate the message. First is by the use of multiplexing, the other one is by the use of segmentation. When we talk of multiplexing, it is a process of combining multiple signals into one signal over a shared medium. So it is a technology that is able to combine the multiple communication signal together in order for them to traverse, not to travel, and otherwise a single signal communication medium simultaneously. On the other hand, so I hope nasabtan to si multiplexing. So assuming nakaisa ka dako nga message and there are other messages no nga gusto mo gamit sa imong medium or sa imong network, and then mo to siya um tanan to sila maggamit sa isa ka signal or sa isa ka channel para lang maka-travel ang information from one um one node to the other. On the other hand, when we talk of segmentation, it divides a computer network communication into a smaller parts. Muna siyang ginatawag na tog segmentation or segments. So the purpose of segmentation is to improve network performance and security. So other terms that sometimes mean the same thing are network segregation, network partitioning, and network isolation. So in segmentation, by sending smaller individual pieces from the source to destination, daghan nga mga different other conversation can interleave on the network. Kay ginagmay lang man ang ato ang gina-cater, right? So segmentation again can increase the reliability of your network communication. All right, so we have here the components of a network. We have devices, the media, services, and messages. So last chapter, we've mentioned the platforms or the elements of a network. And yeah, murag pare-pareho ra na sila ani, no? Nalahi lang dito is natay term dito nga rules. So pwede nato siya ma-associate diri sa services. Again, we have 4 components of a network. Devices, these are the physical elements or hardware of the network. We have the media, it can be as simple as a single cable connecting one computer to the other, or as complex as network that literally span the globe. We also have the services. This is the communication programs. Yun yung tinatawag nating software that run on the network devices. And lastly, we have the messages. Alam niyo na yun. Ano yun? Yun yung mga information that you wanted to travel from the source to the destination. Therefore, again, if naiisa ani nga components nga absent, therefore walay functionality nga mahitabo sa imong network. All right, so assuming you have now the devices, the media, the services, but you don't have the message to be processed, and then so wala nag-function ang imong network. Now let's talk about devices. So sa atong devices, natay ginatawag na end devices and its function. All right, so when we say end devices, these are either one of the following. Pwede siya computer. Other terms for computer, especially when we talk of internet working or network, are workstation. There are laptops, file servers, and web servers. So they are again computers or end devices. We also have network printers. We have voice over IP phones. We have security cameras, mobile handheld devices like wireless barcode scanner, QR code scanners, PDAs, and etc. Alright, so the function of end devices are this. They are referred to as the host. So if you're the host, it's either you are the source or the destination. Either ikaw ang nag-initiate or ikaw ang nag-create sa data or ikaw ang ma-receive sa data. Alright, so a host can act as a client, a server, or both. I know you are familiar with the terms sa inyong basic nga IT subject. Alright, so pwede siya mahimong client, pwede siya mahimong server. Kapag ka-server siya, servers are hosts that have software installed that enables that computer or that end device to provide information and services to the client. On the other hand, kung nag-act ang imuhang end device as clients, they are hosts that have software installed that enables them to request and display information obtained from the server. Alright? So I hope klaro siya ang definition nato when we talk of end device. Either sila ang mo initiate sa creation sa data or sila ang mo dawat. Alright? So mura sila og landing area or creation area. So kinsa tong mga end devices, they are computers, network printers, voice over IP phones, security cameras, basta tanan nga pwede mo dawat or mo create sa mga information. We also have part of the devices are intermediary devices. Samples, we have the term network access devices. They are hubs, switches, and wireless access points. We also have inter-network device specific to routers. Again, as mentioned in the previous nga chapter, routers are used to connect us to the wide area network. We also have communication servers and modems, security devices or firewalls. These are intermediary devices, meaning to say, katong ato ang gimension nga mga end devices cannot do the transmission of message without these intermediary devices. Alright, so sila man ang mutabang to facilitate the transmission, no, the travel of the messages from the source to the destination. So ano yung mga functions o roles sa atong intermediary devices? They are there to regenerate or retransmit data signals. They maintain information about what pathways exist through the network and internetwork. So alam nila kung asa sila pwede mo ambak, kabalo sila nga kaning link is failed or na down, no? And then they can notify other devices for errors and communication failures. They can direct data along alternate pathways when there is a link failure, and they can classify and direct messages according to quality of service priorities. So again, sa chapter 1, gimension nato that our network has this prioritization, no? Wherein hatagan niya og high priority if it detects that this information is of importance to the organization, and less priority if dili siya kaayo importante. And lastly, ang mga intermediary devices permits or deny the flow of data based on security settings. So, like for instance, in our school, during office hours, students are not allowed to access the Facebook, the YouTube, no, katong mga social media platforms, but they can access it at 12 noon to 1 p.m. basta kay walay klase. So, nganong makaya man na siya sa atong network. That is because of the settings nga pwede iset sa ato ang network administrator. Alright? So let's proceed again another part of the physical devices or the network media. We have three main types of media, no, or channels, or yeah, medium. We have the copper, we have the fiber optics, and the wireless. So we have a chapter intended for this alone, no? So mga chapter 6 or 7 yata to siya, and i-discuss nato na siya in detail dito. Alright. So there are criteria for choosing a network media. First, the distance the media can successfully carry a signal. Alright, kung unsa kalayon. Therefore, kaning mga categories sa atong network media, there are standards or there are limits, no, wherein stable ang iyang connection. So for example, if for copper, ang limit lang niya is 100 meters. More than that, ayun nag-expect na okay pa ang imong imong communication ana, no? All right. Second criteria for choosing a network media is the environment in which the media is to be installed. So imagine you're using the wired type of cable, and then ang environment nato is ulanunon, bagyuhonon. So unsa mahitabon sige expect nato sa wired, right? So posible nga ay sa kahangin diha putol na. All right? So another is the amount of data and the speed at which it must be transmitted. So while kung mupalit ka og cable, so the lesser the value, for sure, the less pud ang iyang speed ato, no, in terms of transmission. And the cost of the media and its installation. So based on our examples, major types, so the fiber optics is the um, most expensive type of media, as well as its installation. All right. So, I know you know this already. We have local area network. So, di na nato ni siya i-detalye kaayo kay I know kabalo na mo unsa ning local area network. Alright? We also have the wide area network. This is the connections of two or more LANs. So, mahimo na siyang one. And of course, we have the term internet or the network of networks. So when we talk of internet, same ra na siya kung maingon tag network, no? This is owned by large public and private organizations. So this is created to interconnect the networks belonging to your internet service providers. We also have the term intranet. It refers to a private connection of LANs and WANs that belongs to an organization and is designed to be accessible only by the organization's members, employees, and other with authorization. The best example of intranet is our carso.edu.ph, wherein you can make use of your login credentials, and then you can find out you can see now the reports pertaining to your grades, not pertaining to your schedules, and pertaining to your financial aspect as a student. All right, so notes to remember: the following terms may be interchangeable. We have the term internetwork, data network, and network. Pareho lang na sila pasabot. It is a connection of two or more data networks to form an intranet or internetwork. It is a network of network. It is also common to refer to an internetwork as a data network or simply as a network when considering communications at a high level. All right. So another terms to remember when we talk of network interface card or the NIC, this is the LAN adapter. It provides the physical connection to the network at the PC or at other host device. The media connecting the PC to the networking device plugs directly into the NIC. So if you are not familiar with this network interface card, here's some images. Alright, so makita nimo ni siya nga node or nga port sa imong laptop or sa imong desktop, right? So kanang hole diha wherein you can insert the RJ45 connector that enables you to connect to the wired um, network connections. All right. Okay. So another, we have the term physical port. This is a connector or an outlet on the network device where the media is connected to a host and other networking devices. Again, ang pasabot niya katura gihapon gipakita nako earlier. We also have the term interface. This is a specialized ports on an internetworking device that connects to an individual network because routers are used to interconnect networks. Alright, nasi kalayan aning duha para dili lang ta mawala. When we talk of physical ports, anything nga mga outlet sa likod sa inyohang sa likod or sa kilid sa atong laptops are called physical ports wherein you can attach the wires, you can attach the audio wires, the power wires. This all are physical ports. But when we talk of interface, that is a specialized port intended for communication or network communication. So I hope di ta mawala ana, right? All right, so let's proceed to the protocol. So last chapter, we've mentioned the protocol, we've mentioned the standard, and in this chapter, hinay-hinayon na to siya dissect unsa gid ining protocols, right? So when we talk of network protocol, it is the format or structure of your message nga ready for transmission. So this is also a method by which networking devices share information about the pathways with other networks. This is how and when errors in system messages are passed between devices. And when we talk of network protocol, it is the setup and termination of data transfer session. So kanitanan nga mga activities are part of the network protocol nga operation. All right, again, as mentioned, so we have the term converged network wherein all host devices, all end devices, and even intermediary devices used a standard or common nga protocol. All right. So, mo ni siya ang duha ka models, no? Pinaka-core sa chapter. So, is to introduce to you two types of models. First is the Open System Interconnection Model or the OSI model. We also have the Transmission Control Protocol or Internet Protocol model. So, kung makita nato, for OSI model, we have 7 layers, starting from the physical layer as layer 1 up to the application layer 7 model. While the TCP model, it has only 4 models. Karon, the next nga mga slides will focus on their differences and unsay function sa kada layers. Alright? So again, this networking model is only a representation of network operations. The model is not the actual network. Alright? So kung makita nimo ni siyang duha ka mga model, they are layered, right? So what is the reason? Unsay mga benefit nga nag-layer nila ang ang approach. So first off, it assists in protocol design because protocol that operates at a specific layer have defined information that they act upon and define interface to layers above and below. Another benefit nga nung ing ato ang atong gamiton nga nung layered siya is it fosters competition because products from different vendors can work together. It prevents technology or capability changes in one layer from affecting other layers above and below. And it provides a common language to describe networking functions and capabilities. Again, mao na ni siya ang protocol nga gigamit sa atong network, right? Nganong kaya niya i-facilitate tanang request nato. So mao ni siya isa ni siya sa network architecture nga part, right? Mao ni ang protocol nga gina-follow nila. And as mentioned, na isa ka benefit nganong layered approach siya because it foster competition. So for instance, we have here physical. When we talk of physical, it conforms to the um hardware part katong tanan nga magunitan nimo nga aspect sa imong network. That includes your monitor, your keyboard, basta tanan, the cables and all. Alright, so it says that it foster competition. Why? No, it foster competition because products from different vendors can work together. So assuming you have this physical mobile phones nga gipalit nimo nga ang brand is Samsung. And then, pagkaugma, of course, kung Samsung na siya, for sure, ang imong charger ana, no? Samsung pa ang ihang brand. But then, pagkaugma, nakita nimo, na-assess nimo nga ang imong charger, dili na functional. Dili na mag-charge kung imong i-attach sa imong phone. So, what you will do is, you will go to the market, no? Adto ka sa bisag unsa nga store, computer stores, and then, palit ka og charger nga compatible sa imong Samsung na phone. So with that case, kung makita nimo daw dili Samsung ang brand sa katong bago nga charger nga imong napalit, but then magamit gihapon nimo siya, no? Compatible gihapon siya sa imong Samsung. That's the reason of or one benefit of using layered approach, right? So any supplier, any manufacturer can create their own own nga mga elements or own nga mga devices, own products, as long as it follows the standard protocol of creating or of manufacturing that kind of charger. Now, another example na sayo pa ang keyboard asa ba? Ang imong keyboard di na pod mo gana, so nipalit ka. Gi-attach nimo sa USB, compatible gihapon sila, no? So kung makita nimo kung palit kag computer set, sometimes different ang manufacturer sa kada elements nga naka-attach diha. Now that's the one benefit of our layered approach. All right. What else? No, so pasabot any changes nga mahitabo sa kada layer, dili apektado ang uban nga layers. Isa pod naka-benefit nganong kailangan nato siya i-layer. Alright? Alright, so again, as mentioned, there are two basic types of networking models. We have the protocol model. Si protocol model mo to siyang 4 ka-layers, while si reference model, siya tong 7 layers. Balikan lang na to. Alright, so this is the protocol model, and this is the, this is the reference model, and this is the protocol model. Alright, so unsa man ning protocol model? Take note, mo ni siya tong 4 ka-layers. This model provides a model that closely matches the structure of a particular protocol suite. The hierarchical set of related protocols represents all the functionality required to interface the human network with the data network. Alright, so while again, si TCP/IP model or the protocol model is a protocol model that describes the functions that happens at each layer of the protocol within the TCP/IP. Alright, si reference model pod, it provides common reference for maintaining consistency within all types of networking protocols and services. It is not the reference model. This refers to the katong 7 layers. This is not intended to be an implementation specification or to provide a sufficient level of details to define the services of the network architecture. Ang primary purpose lang sa atong 7 layers is to aid in clearer understanding the functions and processes involved. So I'm sure naglibog mo sa iyang definition, but then kung ako siyang i-sum up, no? Dirita. Alright. So from the word reference model, wherein na siya 7 layers, siya ang basis sa tanan nga mga protocol models. So with these slides, we were just presenting the protocol model nga TCP/IP, but there are other types of models nga nag-exist. Alright? So, kaning protocol model nag-exist siya because ang reference niya, ang basis niya is kaning 7 layers ni reference model. That is the reason nga for sa si protocol model naka-generate siya og 4 layers, no, from the 7 layers nga gi-benchmark kaniya. Ana lang, no? So again, as mentioned, si reference model dili siya intended to be implemented sa atong workstation. But then si TCP/IP, kung tan-awon nato sa ato ang PC, naamoy makita diha nga TCP/IP. So, wait, akong ipagkita ha. When you click on your network settings, so naamoy makita nga ani, right? So, dinhi mo makita nga dinhi day ang implementation ni TCP/IP model. But then, wa kay makita diri nga OSI model because OSI model is just a reference, no? So, saan tayo? Dito tayo sa Ethernet. Tama pa ba to? Network. Alright, try na to na. Alright. So, naara siyang window. So, dinhi makita nimo sa network connection ako nga nagamit ko og Wi-Fi. So, with the name load, right? If I'm going to right-click that and click on properties. Okay, so makita nato dinhi ang mga connection used by this PC or laptop, right? And then, makita ninyo sa baba nga naa siya Internet Protocol version 6 TCP/IP. So, nara version 4, but we also have version 6. As of the moment, naa na siya compatible na atong workstations ani. Once i-click na ko ni siya, ayan, diri nimo ma-set ang katong mga IP address and so on so forth. So later on makasabot ra mo unsa ni siya, unsay dapat ibutang nato dinhi, but I'm sure na may gamay nga background unsa ni nga mga IP, right? Alright, so maani siya dinhi ang implementation sa atong TCP/IP version 4. Okay? Pero wala kay makita diha nga nag-mention siya og OSI. Because again, our OSI layer is not intended to be implemented on our workstations, but just a basis, a guide for us to create our own protocol suite. Alright, I hope klaro to siya. So again, mo ni siya. So based on the discussion, based sa kaning reference nga model nga 7 ka layers, si TCP protocol model naka-generate lang siya og 4, no, from the 7. But then, as to functionality, tanan nga functionality sa OSI layers, naagihapon na dinhi sa ato ang TCP/IP protocol model. Alright, so how? So for instance, we have here at the upper part na siya application layer. But then, in terms of functions, gibuhat lang niya ng TCP application layer But then ang functionality na combine ang kaya buhaton or operations diha ni application, presentation, and session. Alright? Meaning to say, kaning application layer dinhi is equivalent to application, presentation, and application. Transport layer is parallel to the TCP protocol model. Same sila, ka-level sila. So, ang network dinhi gipanganlan ni protocol ag internet. And the first two layers of the OSI layer, gipanganlan po ni TCP/IP model of network access. Alright? So in terms of functionalities, mo ni siya ang ginabuhat ni TCP model by layer. Application, it represents data to the user plus encoding and dialog control. Si transport layer, it supports communication between diverse devices across the network. Si internet, it determines the best path to the network. And si network access, it controls the hardware's devices and the media that make up the network. Again, hinay-hinayon lang natog dissect ang kada isa ani. So sa next nga mga sa succeeding na mga chapters, there are chapters that focus on application alone, transport alone, network alone, and physical and data link alone. Alright? So, ganyan. So, let's talk about the communication process. So, as mentioned, kaina na ay duha ka types wherein we can communicate, we can transmit the message from one or from the source to the destination. So, para maka-create og communication process, there has to be someone nga mo create sa data. Alright? So, the creation of data is at the application layer of the originating source and device. And then, next phase is segmentation and encapsulation of data as it passed down the protocol stack in the source and destination, generation of data onto the media at the network access layer of the stack. I'm sure maglisod mo ani, diretso na lang siguro. Skip ko na lang to ha. Again, balikan na to. During the communication process, ma-encounter ninyo ang process nga encapsulation. Alright, so this is the process wherein as the application data is passed down the protocol stack on its way to be transmitted across the network media. Therefore, daghan nga mga protocols adds information to it at each level. Take note nga as mentioned sa communication process, maka-initiate, maka-create ta sa data at the application layer. Alright? And then, para ma-travel siya sa network, kailangan niya agihan tanan nga mga layer. Alright? Para maka-acquire siya og information nga necessary para lang ready na siya mo travel across the network. Muna pasabot sa encapsulation process from the top layer down to the physical layer. Now, during this process, naanaputay another ma-encounter nga term. We have the protocol data unit or the PDU. This happens when the encapsulation process take place. No? The moment nga ang imuhang data moabot sa lahi nga layer, mag-change ang iyahang PDU name. That's the reason nga natin ginatawag og PDU names. Alright? So we have data. So this is the PDU name at the application layer. We also have segment once ang imong message niabot na sa transport layer. We also have packets if ang imong data niabot na sa network layer. We also have frame if niabot na siya sa what is this? Supposedly this is data link layer and bits for the physical layer. Alright, so para klaro kayo mo ni siya, no? We will make use of the reference model para klaro. Alright, so the encapsulation process mo ni siya, no? Gikan sa application layer padulong dito sa pinakaubos. So, sa mahitabo sa application, encapsulation process. Again, maka-create ta og data from the application presentation and session. Alright? So, as mentioned, every time nga ang imong message nga gusto i-transmit mo abot sa kada layer, mag-change ang iyang PDU name. Alright? Alright. So, this is the creation of data. So, the format here of your data is readable sa human nga end. Alright? So, sa may example, ani ma'am, pag-create na mag-data. The moment nga ni-click ka sa imong browser, the moment nga ni-click ka sa Facebook application sa imong mobile phone, you are creating an information or you are creating a message saying to the server, directing the server nga dapat ma-open nimo ning Facebook application or dapat mo appear sa akong screen ang google.com. That's the data na itself nga readable sa ato ang end. Alright, mo na ang application. That's the time nga nag-create ta og data. Wala pag dili pa sabot nga ang data, ang message nimo kailangan mabasa. No. By just clicking a button, by just pressing an icon sa atong phone, you are initiating the creation of data. I hope klaro ta, right? Alright. So kapag ka ang format sa imong message is readable sa atong end, ang pangalan sa atong protocol data unit ana will be data. Alright? Now, at the moment nga sa pasabot, kung naka-create na kag data, kailangan ang atong data i-prepare nato para ma-transmit siya sa network. Say for instance, mao ni siya ang source. Makita ba ninyo akong mouse pointer? Wait a minute. Assuming this is the source, right? And then you wanted that that message will be transferred to this end, no? Kailangan agihan niya tanan nga mga layers. Alright? So, paano siya? So, mo to siya, ang encapsulation process, mo to ang process wherein katong information nga gi-create nato dinhi nga naay PDU name nga data, maabot na siya sa next lower layers. So, once maabot sa ang data sa atong transport layer, ma-change na po iyang PDU name into segment. So, nga nang mag-change man siya, ma'am? Mag-change siya because si transport layer naa siya specific information nga i-attach sa imong data, making the data to be called as segment. Alright? So for sure, ang information nga i-attach ni transport layer is necessary so that masuportahan ang communication between different devices. Mo nang nahimo siyang segment. Alright. Next, the moment nga ang data nato nahimo nag-segment, unya moabot na siya kay network layer. Therefore, muad na pud sa network layer og important information so that our data nga nahimog segment can be called a packet. Alright? Again, basta mo ang imong data moabot sa different layers, mag-change ang iyang name. So from data to segment to packet. And kung mahimo na siyang packet, pasabot ang i-add na network layer diha are the logical addresses so that your message or your network can find the best path to the destination. Alright? So next. So once maabot na ang ato ang data sa data link layer, again, si data link layer will add some important information so that it can facilitate the physical address, prepares data to be transported onto the media. So kapag ka na-add na ni data link layer, tawagon na natog frame ang ato ang message. Alright? So take note, nakita ninyo. So sa network layer, i-add niya ang logical address. Wait a minute. I-add niya ang logical address while sa data link layer, i-add niya ang physical address. So, as an overview, no, network layer, gina-prepare niya ang imuhang data so that it can travel, say for instance, from Butuan City to Davao City Terminal. That's the logical address nga ang message is intended from Butuan City going to Davao City. But then sa network layer, wala na siya pakialam kung asa specific sa Davao ang address or ang padulngan sa message because that's the function of data link layer to determine asa ang physical nga address sa data, like asa yun siya mo land. Alright? So, kay data link na to. So, diha makita ninyo nga lahig functions tanan nga mga layers and they are all important para lang successfully um, maka-travel ang message nimo sa network. Alright? So, again, sa data link layer, nahimo na siya frame because the data link layer adds information such as the physical address of the source and destination. And the last layer na ano to? So, land sa ato ang message or data is the physical layer. Once moabot ang atong data dinhi, mo add si physical layer og mga sa bato niya, naay mahitabo nga signaling og conversion. So, dinhi mahitabo nga ang character A, B, C, D, ang characters hello, magklase ta, will be converted into a format, into a machine language, no? Into a format nga readable sa mga devices nato. Readable sa imong PC, readable sa imong routers and all. Therefore, once ma-add ni physical layer to, tawagon na nato atong data as bits. Kapag bits na siya, therefore, and plus na-convert na siya into signals, either light or sige ito, later on ato nang i-discuss unsa na nga mga conversions iyang buhaton din ni. Ready na ni siya mo travel sa atong cables. Alright? I-function ni physical layer, i-prepare ang data nato for signaling, conversion, and placing onto the cables. Alright? So, mo ni siya, no? Examples, unsa mahitabo ani before ta mo end, unsa mahitabo pag nana siya sa physical layer. Examples of data sa data nga part. So, sa application nga part, nag-text ka, nag-chat ka, nag-email ka, naggamit kag audio, nag-click kag button, nag-type kag URLs. These are examples of the activities or the services nga gina-offer sa ato ni network, right? Sometimes, kani siya tanan, kaisahon na nimo gamit, right? And then, again, as mentioned in the previous chapter, tanan nga mga activities or services nato na siya equivalent nga mga protocols. These are the HTTP, HTTPS, SMTP, file transfer protocol, POTN, etc. Depending sa kung unsa imong gi-activate diri or gi-create diri nga data. So sa segment ka part, these are the examples. Sample nga mga information nga ang i-attach ni transport layer. These are called port numbers or well-known addresses. So kani nga mga example addresses are known over the network. So kabalo ang atong mga internetworking devices ana nga kapag 80 gani, that is intended for web. Kapag 25 gani, that is intended for email. Kung 110 gani, di na nako familiar ang uban. Basta kay every application nga imong gi-activate diri, na siya equivalent nga port numbers or well-known address sa transport layer. Alright? And then, for the network layer, examples sa mga information nga iyang i-attach are the IP address, such as 192.168.4.1. Not only one but kailangan niya i-attach ang IP address sa source and destination. Alright, so grabe naka-overloaded ang atong mga info. So, I hope carry lang ninyo. And sa data link layer, sample sa iyang i-attach para mahimo siya frame is like this. These are called the MAC addresses of the source and destination. So, manang natawag siya frames. For the physical layer, ingani po diyang sample nga buhaton, ma-convert na niya ang imong message into like this. Mahimo siya binary digits. Alright, of the source and destination, and of course, ang message pod. Kailangan natin i-convert. Alright, so kapag nabutang na, niabot na din atong data, ready na, pag na-prepare na sa imuhang protocol suite, ang imuhang message na na-prepare na siya to travel over the network, kaning black din nga broken line conforms to the wires where the message travels, no? It could be wired or wireless, depende kung sa imong gigamit. So kapag nana siya dinhi, of course, ma-travel na siya sa wires or sa kung unsa nga signal, sa kung unsa nga channel. And sa pikas nga end, pag abot diri nga end, mabaliktad na ang process sa atong encapsulation. Nana pud tay term nga decapsulation, wherein ang pikas nga end or ang destination nga part will receive a stream of bits, no? Ang madawat niya dinhi are not data diretso. Ang madawat dito sa pikas nga end is not a format nga readable sa mga tao diretso. But ang madawat niya are katong bits, no? Katong stream of bits gikan sa pikas nga end. Ang buhaton na po dinhi na po decapsulation nga process wherein i-assess niya para kang kinsa to ang address. Unsay physical address sa source ug destination. Ako ba gid ni padulong or basig dili ni para sa ako padulong. If it's not for me, then I'll forward it to my router or gateway unsa ba. Na until such time nga ma-convert na in ang data into the application layer nga mahimo na pud siya data nga readable na sa human nga end. Nga readable na sa nagbasa aning screen nga naa sa atubangan sa screen. Alright? So, kung tanawon ninyo sa reality, sa real world, kapag ka mo click ka og activity or mo click kag icon sa imong mobile phones, dali ra kayo mo appear class ang interface. Say for instance sa Facebook, right? And then mo gawas na ditong login form no nga username and password. Pero wala ta kabalo nga ani ka complicated ang process nga giagihan para lang mo appear to sa imong screen. The word the message nga sa may usual ninyo yung message. The message nga mag-classic karon na ay meet karon, no? So dali ra kayo mo gawas sa among end, dali ra kayo ma-seen sa imong classmate, but in terms of its procedure para lang mo appear to sa chat box, kani siya ang iyang gihagian. Niagi siya aning application, presentation, session, transport, network, data link, physical. And then it travels to the network, it travels to the web, no? Para lang moabot sa atong group chat ang imong pangutana. Nga wala ra ba jud ni ma'am gi-answer og tarong na nga saba na noon. Alright? So nga na siya. Mo na siya ang what is this communication process. Ing ana ka complicated. Pero isa ka pikit pilok sa imong mata na ana dayon ni appear na sa imong screen. Ingana ka powerful lang ato ang network technologies. Alright? So what's next? Check natin si next. Okay, so network addressing. Siguro i-discuss na lang nato ni further sa iyahang kuan, sa iyahang chapter. We have the network layer. So, sa network layer, again, sa network addressing, it focus on the logical addressing. No? Ayan. So, skip na lang natin to. Okay. So, along with this presentation are two clips, no, showing the process of communication. So na ako'y duha ka i-attach nga mga links na po so murag daghan og buhat-buhaton na ani na after nga chapter. But then at least ma-realize ninyo nga ay mo din yung proseso, mo din ni ang trabaho ni network nganong kaya niya or nganong na maka-access mig internet. Alright. So thank you so much for listening. So I hope nga natay na sabta natay nakuha. Goodbye.